You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Radio's authority on the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology, celebrating 25 years of broadcasting. Broadcasting around the world and to the great beyond.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome to the X-Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, and we're coming to you live and around the world from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide toll-free, 1-800-610-7035. My email address is xzone at xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV. And our main website where you can listen to the X-Zone 724-365, as well as the live show Monday through Friday from 8 p.m. until midnight. www.xzoneradiotv.com. Speaking about TV, the X-Zone TV show is now available in full, all Season 1 episodes, at www.xzonetv.com. My first guest tonight, X-Zone Nation, is Ken Elliott. I've had the pleasure of knowing Ken for over 20 years now. And Ken is an award-winning artist and author who has been showcased on media all over the world. Ken has learned how to manifest items both big and small, first creating his desire on the other side and watching those thoughts take form in our physical world. Ken is living a life that many call magical and miraculous. Over the last 20 years plus, Ken has been teaching others these simple techniques so they can create the life that they desire. Joining us now is Ken Elliott. And Ken, congratulations on your new book, Manifesting 123, and you don't need number 3.
Hi, Rob. Thank you very much.
Ken, tell our listeners who may, for the first time, be hearing you here on the show, a little bit about yourself and how you actually started your journey into the world of the metaphysical.
Well, I certainly wasn't trying to do that. I remember as a kid, I always liked these stories about ESP and psychics. And, of course, all the kids, boys, they like dinosaurs. They like this, they like that. But that paranormal thing really stuck with me. And I would read about these things as I was growing up. I wasn't much of a student about it, but I was just drawn to it. And I had a personal time of crisis, something I just couldn't figure out. And I said a prayer. I asked for help, and I haven't really gone to the top like that. I say much. I was kind of my mother said, "You're such a spiritual kid," but I wasn't a religious child. But I went to church and all that sort of thing. But so I just said this prayer, and within 2 weeks, I met one of the most gifted people I've ever come across, and she's been on your show, Judy Goodman.
Oh, yeah, great lady.
And, remarkable abilities that would take an entire program to go through. There's nobody else like her that I've ever seen. So what would happen is she helped me with a solution, or at least gave me something that was seemed to make sense. Mm-hmm. And what also came along is I started remembering some profound dreams, and I started having some paranormal experiences. And she told me in advance, "Get ready, you're going to start helping people get on the radio." I said, "I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't do anything with radio." And within 6 weeks easy, I heard William Buellman on another program, contacted him out of an email. Yeah. And he said, "I got 2,000 responses last night, but I'm picking yours out first. Who are you?" And I didn't do anything special, but we were supposed to be connected. And it was through William and Judy off to the side, although I didn't really know what Judy was doing with William very directly. We had a conversation many years down the road where he talked about how he was manifesting things. And at the time, The Secret was out, and people were doing vision boards and wish lists and things like that. And he made this offhand comment that just floored me. You and I, we get to hear a lot of stuff. We're around a lot of gifted people with experiences and military clearances and all those sorts of things. And William said that sometimes he goes the other side. He's very adept. He's the out-of-body expert. Yeah. And he would see from time to time this place where everything on his list would just be aligned. It'd just be arrayed is the better word. And something he'd been working on a short time was like a wisp of smoke. It might be the new SUV. And something over here, this trip to China, was almost fully formed. He could see this structure that looked like Chinese things, depending on how much time and effort he had put into this intention by thinking of it or putting it on the vision board. In other words, every time he went back to that idea, it was like he put another layer of energy on that thing, and he could watch them in various stages of formation on the other side. And that was just the most fantastic thing I've ever heard. And I couldn't get it out of my head. And I had been playing this little thing with Judy off and on. Like a kid, I didn't think there was anything to it. Why didn't I take this stuff seriously? And when I first met Judy, I spent some real time with her on the phone, and a stranger called me from another town and said, who do you think you're dealing with? And I said, well, the psychic woman. She said, oh, no. Much more than that. She told me all these things that Judy could do. Mm-hmm. Well, I was familiar with a lot of that stuff in literature. But the one thing she told me, and this goes way back at the beginning of all of this, when you and I, just about the time we first met, she said, if you send her something in thought, she'll get it. I said, what do you mean? She said, last year, Judy had a birthday party, a birthday. Judy was offshore. She wasn't in the country. And this person sent Judy a bouquet of flowers in thought, called Judy the next day. And Judy described the bouquet of flowers that she got when she walked in the hotel room. Now, Judy is gifted enough that she can see these extremely subtle things on the other side. And it's beyond the realm of most people that are even highly gifted. And I'm not going to take away anything from any of those people. But this is a profound gift. There's someone else that's been on your program, Patty Conklin. She's gifted enough to see these things. So you've had three people with access to this. And I sent things to Patty time to time, too, on a couple of occasions. I sat next to her when Judy was lecturing, and I would send things in thought, potted plants of tulips, and array them in front of the stage where Judy was speaking. No one else in the room could see that, but Patty was gifted enough. She could see these tulips in pots that I was putting out there in thought instantly. That's crazy. But it's true. And I don't know why it's not in the literature. And I became the messenger boy for this. Mm-hmm. I'm not anyone special, extraordinary, but I was shown over a period of 20 years how this stuff works. And it underpins everything in your life. If you can imagine that you're a genie, and if you think of whatever it is, it starts to form up right in front of you, that would be pretty spectacular. And if you just stay with it, it will eventually become solid physical, and you can put a handle on it, pick it up, and walk out the door with it.
Isn't that like the mantra, if you confess it, you will possess it?
Yes. And I'm looking at the world in a different way because, I've sent Judy things in real time on the phone at a distance, and they were forming up in real time, 2,000 miles away. And I've tested this every way but Sunday, using space and time beyond the physical world, because there are constructs over there. Somebody can invent a construct, and I can send something and put it into the construct. And then, Judy can go over there and see my construct in her construct. The thought is amazing, and it's totally literal.
It almost...
It's totally literal.
Ken, it sounds like the cloud that we are now using with computers.
Yeah. That's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good. And if you go up to a computer terminal and you're going to put something in the cloud and you keep typing the key M. That's what goes into the cloud. Nothing but M's.
Yeah.
It's literal, totally literal. And there's lots of stories about people who go out of body on purpose or not on purpose, but particularly ones that are adept at this. And they will tell you that if you think it, it'll instantly happen. And it is quite literal. And it's the same here.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're thinking is what we're building. Now, we're in a sea of other people's intentions. The best example I can use is, all right, let's imagine that your idea is that you want to go to the Ontario Art Museum. We all load up in a bus, and you're driving, Ron, and you decide, you're just thinking to yourself, well, Rob, I just don't feel like going to the museum today. And you just take your hands off the wheel and we're all screaming bloody murder because you're going down a superhighway. And you immediately see that you're in a sea of other people's intentions. They know where they're going, but we don't. And we're going to get run off the highway. There's no way we're going to get to the museum if you're not going to put your hands on the wheel. So it's as simple as that. And the other thing about this, there are so many books on manifesting, and I support anyone asking. Excuse me, that's what this is about, is to ask, to have an intention, to have a thought in the direction of where you want to go. And they can get a little complicated, they can get a little confusing, they can seem to be at cross purposes with each other. But if you know that when you start to think of something, it begins to appear in the unseen field around you, or if you have somebody gifted enough to see it, it's a wisp of smoke. And if you keep repeating that intention, keep revisiting that intention, it will get more and more solid. It will start to develop a blush of color. It'll become more and more 3D, more solid, full color. It's coming over into your world. And I've had Judy call me before, and she said, something's coming in, get ready. Or, how come you don't want that business plan anymore? That thing was almost there. I said, it's this internet platform, we can't protect it. It costs too much money to try to get a staff to keep the hackers out. So we'll let it go. She said it's going to go back to smoke. I said, I know, let it go. We'll let it go. Isn't that crazy? But it's real. It's real.
25 years ago, Ken, I would have said, yeah, that really sounds crazy. But after having people like yourself, Judy, Patty on the show, and a list of others, over 3,800 guests over 25 years, no, it doesn't sound crazy. It sounds totally sane and totally plausible.
Yeah. Yeah, there is not just something to it. My friends can watch it happen.
How can they watch it happen? How can they watch it happen, Ken?
Okay, well, there's some stories in the book. I'll go into one where it was the one that really got me. All right, so, over the years, every once in a while, I would just sit around and think, hey, I'm going to send Judy something in thought, and I'd just send her something. Now, let's not have everybody try to send Judy something in thought, because she has, we'll call them some platforms, some screens, some barriers to protect her against all this incoming stuff. But we have an open channel. So far, so good. I've been behaving myself. So I would just send her some random thing. And in the past, I sent her flowers, things for her birthday, this thing, that thing, simple stuff. And again, I've been doing this now for 12 years, 15 years, and it's just like a game. I'm such a dunderhead. I never put together that there might be something special about this. Well, it couldn't be, because it's so woo-woo, right? I mean, it's just a game. And am I going to start a company, a corporation off of this? Well, no. So it occurred to me, I had this singular thought. I'm such a smarty. It only took me 12 years to come up with this or so. And I called her up and I said, are you busy? She said, no. I said, do you have a chair in front of you? She said, yeah. I said, I'll tell you what, if you have the time, I'm going to send you something in thought right now. But instead of my doing it and then calling you later, I want you to stay on the phone with me, and we're going to do this in real time. She said, okay. So what are you going to do? I said, well, I'll do what I've been doing. I'm going to think about this really, really hard and send it to you. Well, that's not the way to do it in the most a practical way, the easiest way, but I was just sheer force of will is how I would do things. So I start to think about what I'm going to send her. Of course, I'm not going to tell her. And I'm an artist, and I have this sort of weird gear, so I'm going to use some of that. So I'm thinking, I'm going to send her a Daffy Duck, 5-foot-tall Daffy Duck. Now, I don't know how this thought mumbo-jumbo works, you know? So I don't know what's in the field. I don't know what the kids outside are thinking or playing about. So I'm going to send her something that's uniquely mine.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes back, I know it was mine. So it's going to be a 5-foot-tall Daffy Duck sitting down in a chair. He's got this vertical, like a yardstick, piece of wood, vertical, and then a horizontal board, a little board at the top, a little handmade sign, and it says love on it, written in red lipstick. So that's a fairly complicated and incredibly specific thing to send.
Yeah.
It's a good thing I'm not on television or at the Olympics of thought or, wherever you want to dream up, because that's just stupid. But, it's just us doing this privately.
Sure.
So I have nothing to lose. Now, I have a track record, and it's 100% good. Every time I send her something, she got it.
Right.
And there's been a lot of things. So I let this go, and I just start. I want you to sit down and imagine you're going to think of a Daffy Duck with a sign, and, what do? I don't have a picture of Daffy Duck, so I'm just got my eyes closed, and I'm just, just really, my head's about to pop off trying to make this thing happen. I don't know what to do. I don't have any skills. I don't have any training for this. I'm just like the guy off the street, like a kid off the street. And so I'm concentrating on this really hard, for about 2 minutes. That's just about the limit of pretty much what the male species can do in this sort of thing. And I asked her, okay, what did you get? And she said, she raised her voice a little bit. She said, you're trying to send me something? And I said, well, yeah, where's my fanny off on it? And now I'm going to hold that story for just a moment. Because she asked me that question, you're trying to send me something. Now we'll go back to William Buhlman.
Sure.
The out-of-body author. And William had told me, as we talked about before, that when you start to think of something, it starts to look like a smoke. It starts to look like a vapor. And he could go to the other side and see everything on his wish list, and he was a wish list making pro. A lot of guys, they don't make lists. They just go down the road. We would make lists, and he would call me and tell me what's on the list. And it was amazing that the stuff on his list would happen. And they'd happen all kinds of ways, but they would happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I know about this smoke thing, but I never really considered it much. It was just in my head. I hadn't put this thing together yet. So now I'm back to Judy. And I said, all right, so what have you got after my 2 minutes of, my brilliant trying on this thing? She said, you're trying to send me something? I said, yeah, I'm working really hard on it. She said, well, you're just making smoke, man. She raised her voice at me a little bit, which she doesn't do. And she started talking real fast. She said, you're just making smoke. Now, if you want to send me something, you need to get on this. You have a wimpy thought, you get a wimpy result. No, you're wasting time here. Now, get on this. I went, well, damn. I'm wrecking our friendship. I'm a dope. I'm a failure. This is stupid. But I'm being encouraged to go forward anyway.
Uh-huh.
I'm so confused. So out of pride, I guess, and fear, I just doubled down for another 2 minutes and kept working on this Daffy Duck thing. And after 4 minutes now total, I'm just toast. And I have nothing left. I have nothing to do. I have no techniques or anything that I can use. I said, okay, so what have you got? I'll never forget what she said. She said, are you trying to send me a cartoon character? And, that's like a Hollywood moment. It's like the horse head in your bed when you wake up in the Godfather or something.
Right.
It's dramatic. And I said, yeah. She said, well, there's this poor little human-y thing. He's got little skinny arms, little skinny legs. He's got cartoon characters on him. He's only 2.5 feet tall. So I fear he's a cartoon character. And he's got a stick in his hand. 4 minutes. Over 2,000 miles away.
Wow.
And my thought was beginning to make this goofball thing that I was thinking of. And it was doing it in a very good linear way, as if I was, pulling strings on this thing, as if I was typing it into the cloud, as you said. And, I got off that phone and I just sat and thought about it. And then I just let it go. It was a proof of something, but what? And then it was later on that I saw, for the first time when it came out, The Secret. And here's the men and women very earnestly talking about all the different ways to use thought and the law of attraction. That was their theme. For me, the law of attraction is a side effect of the first thought. If you want to think about not a Daffy Duck, but if you want to think about getting wheels on your car, new tires for your car, there's your thought. And the thing about the law of attraction, ways will come to you to solve that. It's money. You'll win them. You'll get them gifted. You'll get them repaired properly, whatever it is. But those tires will be good and true. So I saw the Secret and turned that thing off. And went, oh my God, I know what these people are talking about, but they don't know how this works. They don't know the mechanism. We're all petitioning the light switch. Let's put some stickies up there. Let's put some yellow notes up there. Let's bow to it. Let's pat the periphery of it every time we go by, because what we want to do is do all these positive things for this light switch so that when we hit the switch, the lights will come on. We want to improve our chances. Well, that's ridiculous, because we know that is hooked up to the power plant. We don't have to petition the light switch. We don't have to do homage to the water faucet. We know how it's connected. You now know how thoughts work, and it's fundamental to everything in your life. If it didn't happen by accident, if it didn't grow naturally, then it was a puff of smoke first. And if you look at the skyline of Ontario, it's billions of thoughts. And people got together with these thoughts and teamed it up, and they organized and this and that and got money together, or the equivalent of money together, and created the Ontario skyline. But it was all thought first.
It was an idea first.
And if you think of
it has to start with an idea before it can be turned. Yeah, the difference between a dream and reality is just doing it. Yes. Yeah.
Now that's is that revolutionary? Well, it sounds like that to our ears. Mm-hmm. But here's something revolutionary. We're all breathing. Breathing what? You can't see it.
Nope.
You don't really know what it's made of.
Well, I don't know. You can see it in China because it's so thick.
Yeah, you get more than you pay for there.
Yeah.
And you run it through your body. You don't know the names of these muscles, how they fire in order, and it creates an energy that somehow keeps you alive.
Mm-hmm.
It's revolutionary. No, it's part of your package. You're born with it. And I think one of our greatest gifts, of course, is life and creating life. And with our thoughts, we can make, and we do make, anything. And everything that's ever been invented in this world, somebody thought of it. Just like you and me. Somebody thought of it. And it was a puff of smoke first. And they stayed with it.
Yeah.
Got other people on it if they need to. But we're born with it. We're born with it.
So basically, if I understand it right, Ken, now let me use my own example, okay? I come up with an idea. Mm-hmm. I know where I want to go, and I'm a guy who makes a list all the time. My day is filled. Like tonight after the show, before I go home, I make a list of what I need to do tomorrow. I go home, and I try to catch some sleep, see my wife, do whatever I can, at home before I get back to the office at 7 o'clock in the morning. And my list, when I come back to the office, my list is on my desk, but I've probably got about 10 or 15 little sticky notes that I also add to that list that I've added to my day from the time I left the office to the time I get back. And I go through my list. Now, many, many years ago, I came up with the idea of doing something with the paranormal because my interest in the paranormal goes way back. It's always been part of my life. And I wanted to do something where I could introduce people to what I was doing, to the world of the paranormal. Now, when I was a kid, I wanted to be three things. I wanted to be in a rock and roll band. I wanted to be a policeman like everybody else in my family. And I wanted to be in broadcasting. Well, I was in a rock and roll band. I was a policeman. And now I'm in broadcasting because I worked for it. The idea came up, and then you have to work to get to your goals. Your idea or your dream is based on your thoughts, the dream, and then making it happen works to reality. And it boggles my mind, Ken, that people around the world don't understand that very simplistic concept.
Well, why would they? Because the world is full of terrible things and wonderful things, miraculous things, happenstance, coincidence, and most of it's just grinding out the day to day.
Yeah.
Why would you have a shortcut? Why would you have a break? Why would you have a wonderful tool? Why would somebody give you one of those?
Well, nobody's giving it to you. You're born with it.
Yeah, but we're not worthy, are we?
You're darn right we are.
Oh, well, I like this show.
Yeah.
You're weird, but I like it, Rob.
Huh. Thanks, buddy. That's why we've been friends for nearly 20 years. No, but I can't understand it, Ken, because if we were to use the very simple process that you have talked about in the first part of tonight's show, it would be a better world.
Well, would it?
Yeah.
Yeah. When television came out, it's going to bring the world together.
Yeah, but you see...
Well, it did.
Well, for a while, but then television is a tool that is now being used, in my opinion. Let's say the media in general. The media is being used as a tool of manipulation, just like the internet is.
A tool, bingo.
Facebook, Twitter, the rest of them. Where if you get back down to basics, just get rid of the antagonistic views that we have against North Korea, Islam. God, we're all people. Cut us, we all bleed. Not one of us that I know walks on water unless it's ice. But you know what? We need to, number one, respect each other, understand each other, appreciate each other, work with each other. Like, these are very simple, basic concepts. But we love to complicate life as a human society. Because if it's too simple, there's got to be something wrong with it.
Yeah. And we like to separate ourselves from each other in the way we dress, or where we drive, or where we live, or what we say, or what we eat, or, And so we will categorize, put levels: better, less than, better than. Yeah. We're bad about that. It's inherent to us, I guess. It's life on Earth, something we have to learn. But you're right; it is a tool, and I use it in the book. And I actually use this word too harsh. But in 1939, Hitler got up one morning and decided he's going to invade Poland.
Yeah,
they put a lot of time and effort into this, and so he did. And you know what? 100,000 angels did not stop the army at the border.
And yet 100,000 men could have.
Yeah, but I'll extrapolate here. But the angels didn't stop him. It was allowed. Extrapolation on my part, a thesis on my part, was allowed. It's the Wild Wild West down here. And if you think it, then you can create it. Here's another good example. It's gravity. So you're observing this little waterfall, water running downhill. And your understanding of gravity can't have any influence on it. It's just going to bring water downhill.
Yeah.
You can't, with your mind, make that change or do something with your hand signals. That's what gravity does. It pulls things to the ground. And all thought does is make stuff. That's all it does. If you think it starts to form. You don't think about it anymore, it goes away. If you see a toothpaste commercial a couple times a day, don't worry. Your thoughts aren't forming up the things in that toothpaste commercial because you're not really on it. It's not something you're just, repeating day after day after day. But the things that you do will start to take form. And like gravity, your thoughts don't judge a so-called good thought from a so-called bad thought.
Speaking about
to
thought,
take a ball bearing and throw it to somebody, that might be a bad thing. Gravity doesn't say, "Oh no, you can't do that. That's against the law of gravity."
Ken, stand by. We've got to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Exonation, Ken Elliott is my special guest this hour. He is the author of Manifesting 123, and you don't need number 3. www.manifesting123.com is his website, and Manifesting 123 is available on Amazon.com, at his website, and at some metaphysical stores. I'll be back on the other side as Ken and I continue talking about manifestation and Manifesting 123 as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. My name is Rob McConnell, and by the way, January the 6th, my younger brother's birthday. Happy birthday, Tony. Thomas Jefferson was a burgess of 27 when he met Martha Wales Skelton, a 22-year-old widowed heiress who was fondly called Patty by her family. They were married on January the 1st, 1772, and they took up residence in a cabin on the building site on top of a Virginia mountain that Thomas had named Monticello. As Thomas and Patty slowly built their first version of the great house at Monticello, the Revolutionary War was heating up. Patty, with difficulty, bore 5 children, but only 2 girls survived. Thomas's political career developed to the point where he was often away from home, but after he authored and signed the Declaration of Independence in Philadelphia, he resolved never again to leave his wife. He was elected the governor of Virginia, just as that state became the Revolution's last battleground. The Revolutionary War ended in 1781, and Thomas gladly retired altogether to my family, my farm, and my books. But Patty continued to want to bear her treasured husband a son, and late in the summer of 1782, she died of kidney failure at the age of 33, 4 months after having borne yet another girl. Thomas was so devastated by her death that he never remarried. He mourned her for the rest of his life, even as he helped to frame the peace in France and then became the first Secretary of State, the second Vice President, and the third President of the United States. This story is true. Thomas Jefferson was such an obsessive letter writer and record keeper that we know where he was and what he was doing nearly every day of his adult life. Every significant thing he says in My Thomas comes from his contemporary writings. My Thomas by Roberta Grimes is now available at Barnes & Noble, Costco, Target, Books A Million, Hudson Booksellers, Kmart, Walmart, Sam's Club, Walgreens, CVS, and online at Amazon.com. You can visit Roberta Grimes online at www.robertagrimes.com. Good real estate websites are not just about showing listings, but offering visitors valuable information about neighborhoods, market statistics, tips, and personal insights. Luckily, you will find that on Roost, but you won't on many other real estate websites in Budapest. That's why we created Roost. Roost is a website with tailored results for the foreign investor, curated by Hungarian-loving expats who found their home abroad and decided to roost in Budapest. Let Roost help you get started on the right foot. Whether you intend to live, work, play, retire, or simply invest abroad, Roost offers all types of properties in Budapest, from affordable studios to luxury homes. From neighborhood insights like where to grab a great coffee or how to buy property, our team of local experts can answer your questions and speak to the direct concerns of a foreign investor. Buying foreign property is an exciting and complex adventure. It can also be very time-consuming and costly if you don't have the best information and resources at hand. Roost provides professional real estate services and assistance to an international clientele of foreign property investors and rental apartment owners in Budapest. For more information on Roost, visit their website at www.roost.co. That's www.rooste.co.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Wilda Wiecka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we will weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Wilda Wiecka, and the Science of Magic right here on the X Zone Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
Jeff Gilson didn't go out looking for adventure, danger, or the answers to most of the controversial political intrigues of the past 30 years. But he found all three when he began investigating the mysterious death of his close friend, Margaret Thatcher's favorite speechwriter. Just an ordinary guy living in a small, sleepy suburb 20 miles outside of London, Jeff's questions provoked a powerful response on both sides of the Atlantic. He was shot at, warned off by the CIA, and formed a close bond with one of Israel's most notorious intelligence officers. Relive Jeff's gripping adventure in his fast-paced book, Maggie's Hammer. Peel away the layers of establishment deception and discover, as Jeff did, that his friend was an assassin with British intelligence, that Great Britain has been America's secret hitman for the past 30 years, and that Princess Diana was not the target in that Parisian tunnel. All of this and more when you visit www.maggieshammer.com and find the link to buying this explosive book online. More and more ordinary people feel they no longer have control of their lives. Jeff fought back. He asked the difficult questions. He set out to redesign his own destiny, and you can do the same using Maggie's Hammer as your guide. Don't waste a moment. Buy it today. Visit www.maggieshammer.com.
You're listening to the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Radio's authority on the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology, celebrating 25 years of broadcasting. Broadcasting around the world and to the great beyond.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and this hour we're talking about a fascinating book entitled Manifesting 1, 2, 3, and You Don't Need Number 3. It's actually ancient secrets of manifesting that have been masterfully revealed in this award-winning book. Now, this is the breakthrough book that describes for the very first time how your thoughts create anything. Finally, indispensable knowledge that explains the act of creation itself. Now, just imagine you're a genie, and everything you wish begins to form up right in front of you. First is your thought, and thought creates form. From Ken Elliott's personal experiences and the stories in this book, you will learn exactly how your thoughts take form and how to efficiently and simply put it to work for you. You've been creating like this all your life, but it has never been fully explained to you. Well, that's until now. Joining me now is Ken Elliott, and he is the author of Manifesting 1, 2, 3, and You Don't Need Number 3. And if you'd like to get a copy of this book, no, you can't manifest it. No. You've got to buy it. www.manifesting123.com. Or you can go to Amazon.com, and the book is available at some metaphysical bookstores. Ken, great book, great person, great having you back here with us on the X Zone. And you know, my producer mentioned something during the break that whenever you see a genie in a movie, in a TV show or a cartoon, he always starts out as smoke.
That's true. I never thought of
Yeah.
that. I never thought of that. Interesting.
Interesting.
You know, somebody did manifest the book. A couple of people manifested the book, actually. Well, many more than that, because sometimes they're gifted to them.
Mm-hmm.
They're asking for something, and someone gives them the book. Somebody just last month, and on that website, I have a newsletter that comes out every Friday with stories from readers.
Right.
And please sign up for that newsletter. You'll get great stuff every week, very encouraging things. And one of them was in a Goodwill store. Life was tough and looking for a job, this and that, in a Goodwill store, saw a copy of the book, picked it up for, next to nothing.
Right.
And is now working at the Denver Art Museum.
Well,
a job she just loves with the office and a view of the Rocky Mountains.
Well, you see, I want you to make money. That's why I don't want them to manifest it. I want them to buy it.
Well, it kind of takes care of itself. But
yeah.
It's remarkable that when people are asking how help arrives, it doesn't have to be this book. It doesn't have to be a church. It doesn't have to be a check. Help, what you need, what you desire, what you require can come to you in many, many different forms. There's money, and there's the equivalent of money. Sometimes you get a check in the mail.
Yes.
You didn't punch in and punch out to get that check.
Right.
One of my favorites, there's two guys right away that jumped into this book, and they started getting back to me. They still do, and they started finding money on the street. Now, we always find pennies, but I've never even a quarter or a dime. That's pretty rare for me.
Yeah.
But they would find little piles of change,
Right.
maybe 60 cents or $5 bills, dollar bills. And one guy, he said, well, there's something to this. Never found money before, so I'm going to ask for wads of money. And I said, well, why don't you just ask for that perfect career? He said, well, I'm on this wads of money thing. So he did. He started finding billfolds and purses. And he did find one little wad of money. Well, there's quite a bit of money in some of those finds, and he got them all back. So he's a money-finding hound. The other guy, same thing. And I said, why don't you manifest, more money in your career, the perfect career, whatever. And he ended up somewhere between a $400, $700 unexpected bonus where he worked. And they don't give bonuses, but they like the guy so much you got this thing out of the blue. So, that's a little fantastical. On the higher end, there's a guy who had an international business deal. I heard about this for, over a year, and it wouldn't go down. One company working with another, and I think it was $12 million deal. And his wife got all over this book and was doing wonderful things with her art career. We had some of those stories in the newsletter. And so he had me come over. We did a sit down, did a full-blown deal. And he said, okay, I got the script. He went to work on it. And in 6 weeks, that deal that wouldn't happen for a year and a half happened. And it was $12 million. He bought me dinner. I'm good for that. I'll take that.
Hey, listen, I've got to ask you about the guy who found all the money. Did he return the money to the proper owners, or did he keep it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he became the I'm going to find your billfold of purse crusader.
Okay. Oh,
you
that's
should
great.
have a uniform.
Yeah.
He finds all kind of stuff. Yeah. He's all over Facebook with this. It's crazy. But he did get the job. He did get the good job. And that was another newsletter item. So his sideline is he still finds money on the street. Isn't that fun?
All right, so manifesting 1, 2, 3. What's number one, Ken?
Number one is how you do it. So if your thoughts can create anything, and we're not talking about just money, jobs, or cars and things, it can create concepts. Now, I had a tremendous problem having personal time. I'm inclined to give my time away and be helpful to other people and put them first and this and that. And so I would take on a lot of projects and do this and that. And after a long day, of doing websites or this thing or that thing. There was very little time left for me. And so I wanted to fix that. And so I came up with this idea. It was a conceptual idea, not a thing about a career. You notice I never say job, I always say career.
Yeah.
So the number one is this. If your thoughts can make anything, let's be smart. Just before I was going to write the book, I had it all put together. Mm-hmm. And a remarkable array of stories. And I'm having lunch with William Buellman, the out-of-body author I spoke of in the first part of the program.
No, William.
And we're in this idyllic place. Mm-hmm. Yep, he's been on the show a lot.
Yep.
And we're having this lunch in an idyllic place. And I said, William, I want to run something by you because you're the guy that goes the other side all the time. And I've got this thing that people are talking about out there in the manifesting world, that you can go to your future. You can have a thought about your future. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, I can, as an example, let's say that I'm in my future. I can imagine I'm in my future and I have a brand new car, or I have the perfect car. It doesn't have to be new. And he hit the table. He said, oh my God. And he's been doing this 25 years. He goes over it all the time. He said, of course, I never picked up on that. Yes, my thoughts will make the future. I'm going to do that now. Yes, I'm going to do that right now. So the number one is how to make your thoughts create. They do anyway, so let's control it. So you make yourself what I call a movie. When I hear and read a lot of the other material, it can get a little confusing, this and that. Let's make this really, really, 12-year-old simple, because it is. So anybody can imagine a movie. Nobody ever goes to see Superman and comes out and says, "Oh, I flunked watching the movie. I'm terrible at watching movies." We're all fine at movies.
Yeah, we are.
We get watching movies. Yeah. So you imagine that you're in a movie, and this movie is taking place in your future. And let me underscore this: it has already happened in your future. Your thoughts will create the future. So we're not going to say, well, before I get that new position, I have to lose 15 pounds. I have to get a new wardrobe. I've got to get a better car. And I've got to dump that boyfriend, because your thoughts have to do all those things before you get the new career. Your thoughts are very literal. Remember, you're typing that key over and over and over.
Yep.
So what you're going to do is, in your future, oh my gosh, you're walking around in your perfect career. Mm-hmm. You don't have to know where it is. You can be working out of your home. You might make this observation from the couch. At the end of the day, in your future, now we're cutting away all the details about this career. So you're in your future, you're on your couch, and you realize, oh, I just love my career. I can't wait to do this again tomorrow. I love the people there. I love what I'm doing. It's so fulfilling. It's just perfect for me. Perfect implies that it pays well. It's not a 4-hour commute. It's all that kind of stuff. So your thoughts will start to form this perfect career. You don't have to know what the specs are other than it's perfect for you. Give me an example of something you would want to create.
Gosh.
What are they yelling about in the booth over there?
I'm sorry?
What are they yelling about in the booth over there? What do the engineers want?
Craig? He wants a summer vacation in the tropics. Leave it to my producer to want to go to the tropics in the summer. Craig. Okay.
Yeah. And leave you hanging. Yeah. Okay. So here's this word want. Now, I'm not going to put out a lot of rules and make things a lot of complicated, big complicated matrix, but here's one of them. And there's very few of these.
Okay.
When you say you want something, then you are wanting for something. So nothing has to happen.
Okay.
If Craig says, I demand that vacation, if Craig says, I am in my future enjoying this vacation, then things have to happen. But if you're needy or needing, if I need a vacation, well, it doesn't create anything. But if you declare you will have a vacation, okay, then stuff starts to form up.
Gotcha.
So in your future, Craig, you imagine you're in your future. This is already happening. You're real time in your future, and you're walking through this resort hotel with the high ceilings, and there's no windows and doors. The breeze just blows through the place. You go up to the front desk, and your friends are there, or whoever you want to be there. It's just all lovely, and they tell you where your room is, and you walk out by the pool. Maybe you never get to your room. You just sit down there in a chaise lounge, and somebody comes over and brings you a drink. And there you are in your future. You can feel that drink and the condensation. You can feel the breeze of the air. And take a breath. You're in your future, and you're breathing the air in this tropical paradise, and that's an interesting concept. And what you're doing is you're adding more and more layers of intention to this thought. Now, it's not very complex. You're in your future, and you're somewhere, unless you specify a place. I didn't say when I was talking about skylines in Ontario, I didn't say Toronto. I just said whatever skyline, in the province there. So you start to specify that. And every day, if Craig does that, somebody may just call him up and say, hey, I've got an extra ticket, or have you ever thought about going to, or he just does it, and the time opens up, everything opens up, and then it just happens. And I can't tell you how many times me or my friends or readers, they write back. We have this experience where we're sitting there, and we realize, oh my God, I'm in it. It happened. I'm walking around in the future I imagined. Now remember, when you take a cup of coffee and hold it out arm's length and let it go to the ground, it's going to go to the ground every time. That's what gravity does. And when you think of something and you repeat that over and over and over, it will start to build it. And it has to happen. Now, if Craig were 14 years old and he wanted a Maserati, he could just knock himself out. Now, he'll get that Maserati. How would it come? A poster? A model car? He might see one on the street and somebody lets him sit inside it, but he's not going to get to drive one at 14 years old. That's highly unlikely. It could happen. I don't want to limit that either. But him owning and driving one probably wouldn't happen at 14. But he's going to be in the Maserati world. He's going to see that result. And when people are manifesting, there's this little bleed over that happens. You start to see this coming around. And maybe it's just the way our brains are wired. We start seeing these posters about vacations in the tropics or whatever. But you'll experience this a little bit. And it's kind of a heads up in many occasions that this thing is actually operating. There have been women who have been, I like the word one of them used. She said, I've been in a drought. She was widowed. And two women's stories, let's put them all together. And they were doing this pretty much the same time. About 6 weeks out or something, one of them got back to me. Well, they both did, and they were complaining. It was like a little complaint. And one of them said, well, there's so many guys now that are coming around, they're wasting my time. And I said, well, you're upset about that? You had no guys before. And the other woman said the same thing. And I said, well, is that a problem? She said, well, I got 2 love letters this week. I said, when's the last time you got a love letter? She said, junior high school. I said, is that a problem? She said, well, they're married. And I told them both, I said, well, look, it's kind of like you're on the right bus. And now all these guys are getting on the bus, and there were no guys on the bus before. You don't have to kiss all those frogs. But whatever you're doing, keep doing it and be picky. So they started to see the results. They weren't perfect, but they were out of the drought.
So I guess they also have to fine-tune that intention as well.
Yeah, good question. You can overload it with detail. It goes back to this thing, an analogy I use in the book. Let's say you want to take a bus from Ontario to Chicago. Oh, my God, that's almost like 2 days on a bus. How many stops is it going to make? 75 stops?
At least.
Yeah, it's like it's running mail to everybody. So what you want to do is, you like Chicago, so you envision yourself in Chicago. And you're at the top of the Sears Observatory Tower, or you're on the Miracle Mile, wherever it is, or you're just having your favorite drink in a restaurant somewhere, or your favorite meal with a view of Chicago. And that's all you have to do. You put it in your future that you're in Chicago. But you don't specify how you got there, because that starts putting limits on what can happen. So a nice example for me was I put it in my future that I'm walking to a room. I assume it's a hotel room. I've got a bag. I put my bag down. I walk out to the balcony. There's a balcony, and I hold on to that balcony rail. I really feel that balcony rail. And I really felt putting down that suitcase. And I look out to the view. There is no view. I just see white. I'm somewhere in the world, and I'm in my future, and I'm in this wonderful place. I just love being here, and I'm so very grateful. We're going to come back to that in a sec. I don't have to worry about the time away or the money to get there. So I have no stress, monetarily or scheduling-wise. So what happens not long after, I get a phone call. Somebody wants to do a surprise birthday party in the Caribbean for Judy, Friends of the Caribbean. And a side story on that, Judy's here at the house. She's visiting, and I get up one morning, and I've got to hide this surprise Caribbean birthday party from probably the greatest psychic in the world. And if I can put up a bubble, she can see that I'm trying to block it. Why are you trying to block what you think? If I have these little mechanisms, she can see the mechanisms. So I'm just going to try to be crafty. Good luck on that. So I get up, and Judy says, "You're thinking about any vacations?" And I went, "Yeah, I was really. Yeah, wouldn't it be fun if we you and me and some other gang, we go somewhere?" She said, "What do you think about the Caribbean?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like crap." And I just looked at her, and I started to smile. She started to grin. I said, "Busted, huh?" She said, "Yeah, every time she calls me, I can see all the arrangements she's making, but don't tell her, So I'm in the Caribbean. They pick us up at the airport, da-da-da-da-da. They have this beautiful house in the Caribbean on the water, and I get my bag. I go upstairs to their room. Their guest suites, 2 stories. This is a remarkable place.
Sounds like it.
I put the bag down. I walk out. I grab that rail, just like in my future, and I look out, and there's their property with a sailboat. There's a guy out there, a motorboat. And, if I want to go anywhere, I just go over to him, and he'll take me wherever I want to go. I was in my movie holding that rail. And that happened in 6 weeks. And it cost me, my money was no good there. It cost me airfare up and back, and I'd sold a piece of art that covered that right away. And it wasn't very expensive to begin with. So I just had to pinch myself. I yak about this to everybody else, but when it happens to me in a very literal way, it makes you smile.
Hey, Ken, I've got some bad news for you, my friend. I wish I could manifest another hour, but I can't. I've been trying. So you and I have got to, we've got to continue this conversation at another time, my friend. Congratulations on your book. I'm looking forward to reading it. And to you and yours, Ken, nothing but the very best in the new year. And as always, look forward to the next time we talk. Take care of yourself, Ken.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you for all you do for the many. I so appreciate you.
Oh, thank you, my friend. Exonation, my guest this hour, Ken Elliott. www.manifesting123.com. His book, Manifesting123, is available at, manifesting123.com, Amazon.com, and at selected metaphysical bookstores. I'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.